This movie starts with Eva, a Maltese and a beekeeper, riding her bike through the lonely road with a large expanse of land on both sides. Eva always wears a smile when she rides. Austin, a visiting archaeologist from Michigan, is seen lecturing students on archaeology. He lectures on a man who had written a diary about a new world plan, as he calls it. On the projector screen, he shows the students a box he thinks could be the key to never-ending prosperity. He hopes that he can continue from where the man stopped and help complete what he started. He rounds up his seminar, and the class roars in applause, after which he dismisses the students. Michael, his friend and colleague who was seated at the back of the class, walks with him outside. Austin feels the class was boring, but Michael believes otherwise. The most popular archaeology professor can't have a boring class. Michael reveals his plans to leave Malta. He goes ahead to remind Austin that the university can only fund one research project. Michael also tells him that there's a vacancy, as a professor is retiring soon. It's an opportunity for him to climb up the ladder and be in a better position to get his research funded. Michael assures Austin that he has a lot of faith in him, even when it seems Austin is hanging his entire career on a reference from a 17th century diary. Austin assures him that it's worth it, and he hopes he doesn't have to regret it. Michael reassures his faith in him, and takes his leave for the airport. Eva has now ridden into town, and is cruising through an alleyway. Austin finds it hard to navigate his way around using a mobile map. While he tries to find his route, he wanders slightly into the road, and almost gets run over by an oncoming Eva. As an experienced rider, Eva quickly swerves the bike and avoids hitting him. She falls down in the process. Austin runs and helps her up, then apologizes for his carelessness. Eva reminds him that he isn't supposed to be in the alleyway because alleyways are meant for drivers and not pedestrians. Austin confesses that he hasn't really seen people riding on the streets since he arrived in Malta. He goes on to confess that he actually doesn't know where he currently is, and laments about the unavailability of street signs around. This makes Eva clock Austin a foreigner. While she picks up her bike and Austin helps to pick up the fruits littered on the ground, he advises her to learn to slow down. He infers, although teasingly, that Eva must have run over many bystanders. But Eva insists that she hasn't run over anyone. Austin continues with his humorous teasing, and Eva advises him to stay away from the alleyways. Eva is set to continue her ride, and she hops on the bike, and then rides off. Eva is now outside with a group of people. She's making a case for bees, with the fact that they need more food. Someone teases that everyone actually needs food, and the group erupts in laughter. Eva has a proposal that they plant bee-friendly wildflowers throughout the city of Port Grace. Matthew, the mayor of the city, is in attendance, so Eva gives him the floor. Matthew reminds them that the annual Port Grace Festival is coming up by the weekend, and he feels they need a marquee event that would put Port Grace on the global map. Eva cuts in, wondering why, seeing that they already have events lined up for that day. One of the ladies in the gathering believes they have more important things to discuss. She references the foreign bee queen that has infiltrated one of the hives. Eva assures her that she'll bring in a new traditional Maltese queen as soon as she finds one. Eva has to run off to attend to other things. When she leaves, the others aren't willing to listen to Mayor Matthew, and they disperse. Before she leaves, Matthew asks Eva about meeting her so they can deliberate on the marquee event he's proposing. She tries to avoid him though, excusing that her schedule is tight, but Matthew insists they can find time the next day. Eva's hands are tied. Eva is at the apiary, talking to the bees as if they can hear her. She tells them about her encounter with the cute but dense man she almost ran into earlier. Chloe, Eva's sister, watches her from afar and calls out to her. Chloe wonders why Eva doesn't always wear protective gear when close to the hive. Eva doesn't see it necessary as their mom did it that way without getting stung. Chloe argues that she got stung all the time. Eva waits to hear the good news that Chloe has been made the new head of marketing at her workplace. This isn't the case, but Chloe isn't going to treat it as a big deal. She's taking the week off and wants to help Eva in the apiary. Chloe mentions a deal she has brokered on behalf of Eva. Eva thanks her but wishes she was the one looking after Chloe, because she's older. Chloe feels it's a two-way thing. She mentions that it's time to raise the apiary's profile and probably start theme tours. While they're on that, Luna texts Eva that there are bees in the library, prompting Eva to run off to tend to what she calls bee-emergency. She goes over to the library and meets Luna. After they exchange pleasantries, Luna asks if she'd join them in the folklore dancing for the festival, but she declines. Eva proceeds to ask Luna if she'd be open to planting some bee-friendly wildflowers around the library. Luna likes the idea and even suggests extending it throughout the town. As they walk towards the main library building, Eva hears someone screaming from inside, and Luna asserts that's why her attention was called. She also tells Ava that an American archaeologist is visiting. Luna pours encomium on the archaeologist in a way that suggests she wants Ava to connect with him. When Ava tries to give excuses, Luna reminds her that she hasn't been in a relationship for a while now. Ava deserves some love, but Ava asserts she has love. She's weary, thinking Luna has called her just to play matchmaker. In the library, Eva sees Austin fighting off a bee, prompting Ella to scold him to stop. Austin stops, wanting to know why Eva is following him. Luna is surprised that the two are already acquainted, but Eva clarifies that it was a rather unfortunate meeting. Luna then introduces Austin as a visiting professor from Dobson University, Michigan, and goes ahead to introduce Eva as a beekeeper. Austin and Eva shake hands. Eva tells him that the bees in Malta are protected legally, and he replies that he's sure no one will get arrested for swatting a bee. Luna takes Eva to another part of the library. Eva notices Austin using his hand to aggressively swat a bee. She wants to teach him a lesson, so she stylishly drops one of Austin's books to the floor and feigns it was accidental. Austin is done with banters and wants to mend broken fences. Eva walks over to the window and notices an opening the bees use to access the building. She blocks the opening while Austin spots a bee on top of his book and calls for Eva's help. Eva uses one of Austin's study maps and a glass cup to cage the bee. She takes the bee outside to release it, and Austin follows her to nag that she be careful with his study material. Eva releases the bee outside but fails to return the map back to Austin, who prefers to be a gentleman and not take it forcefully. Eva, whose disposition is to follow the bee wherever it goes to locate any possible hive close by, drags Austin along. Eva locates the beehive and Austin tries to take the map from her, but she refuses. She'll give it back on one condition, and that is, he promises never to swat bees again. Austin promises, and thereafter, Eva gives him the material. Austin draws close to a part of the wall and touches it. He senses something odd. He feels there was a different structure once, replaced by the current structure they see. Putting on his thinking cap, he tries to decipher more. Eva, on the other hand, doesn't see the uniqueness as almost all buildings on the island are built on older buildings. Luna walks in, and Eva tells her she'll come by later to take the bees to a safer place. They all disperse. Austin and Luna go back into the library. Austin begins asking for more materials and maps. He says that there's more to the wall painting outside and he wants to find out what. Luna voices there's no record of what was built earlier. Much later, Eva is at the library wearing full protective gear, removing the hive for safekeeping. After successfully removing the hive, she uses a scalpel to scrape the spot. While she does that, Austin comes and even startles her. He notices that there's an ancient painting underneath the spot Eva is scraping. He takes over the scraping and his findings are astonishing. He was right all along, unmasking a large ancient painting on the wall. He's excited, moved to celebrate this new milestone by hugging and carrying Eva, who plays along and celebrates with him. He realizes what he's doing and drops her, then apologizes. He lets on that he just might have discovered a lead to finding something spectacular, a lead to never-ending prosperity. Eva is a bit surprised that the whole celebration was just for a lead and not the actual discovery. Soon, the mayor, Matthew, joins them. Austin explains the painting on the wall and also mentions that it needs to be properly analyzed. He offers his help, and Matthew chips in the need to verify Austin's documents before any further dealings. Austin then introduces himself and hands over a card that contains contacts for further inquiries. There's a battle between Eva and Austin, who expresses they should prioritize the historical findings over Eva's bee collection. Eva had stated earlier that she needs to frequent the spot to collect more bees, as she's sure they're drawn to the spot. Austin throws it to Matthew to decide who has priority for the spot, but it's clear he's still adamant that bees aren't that important. Matthew replies that until Austin's verification is done, he'll have to do his finding under Eva's supervision. To better put it, Eva and Austin will have to work together. They try to complain, but Matthew isn't listening. The next day, while Eva prepares to embark on a tour of the apiary with guests, Austin shows up. He's ready to begin his research on the paintings, but he needs Eva for supervision because he's no rule breaker. Eva tells him he has to wait a few hours so she can finish her tour. He doesn't mind but would prefer not to stay idle, so he opts to enroll as part of the tour guests, but Eva declines, stating there's no space. Chloe steps in and Austin fills her in, so she promises Austin that she can create a space for him. Chloe goes to welcome a couple on their honeymoon when Eva steals her for a moment, pulling her to a corner. She wants to know why Chloe chose the honeymoon tour as the theme for the day. It makes a lot of sense to Chloe, considering the fact that the couple are on their honeymoon. The tour begins, and Eva addresses the guests consisting of 3 couples and Austin. She tells them how prized Malta's honey is all over the world. Eva educates them on how their ancestors were given a prophecy in ancient Greece to care for the bees. In return, the bees would care for them, and they would be prosperous. One of the guests asks Eva if bees fall in love. Eva replies that bees do. In fact, they choose their partners based on mutual understanding and affection. This amazes the lady, who blurts out that it definitely applies to her and her husband. She then moves to kiss her man. Eva asks them to get a bee suit so they can get close to the bees. Eva takes them on the tour around the apiary, and Austin can't help but notice how lovely Eva is throughout. While they tour another part of the apiary, Eva explains where the term honeymoon comes from. At the end of the tour, the guests, except Austin, are treated to some Pacifica Grove honey. While the guests are outside, Austin stays back inside the building and tells Eva how lovely the place is. He's wowed to see the process involved in getting a jar of honey. Eva offers Austin some honey, but to her dismay, Austin doesn't like honey. Now at the library, Austin is taking pictures of the painting when he gets disturbed by a bee. He begs Eva to help catch the bee, and Eva obliges. Eva wants to know what's important about the painting on the wall. Austin explains that he came across a diary written by a French priest who spent time in Malta before heading to the Americas. The priest referenced in the diary that he found a golden way to never-ending prosperity. The reference isn't clear, hence him having to go through rigorous processes. Eva concludes Austin is looking to get prosperous, but Austin corrects the notion. An archaeologist only finds out historical things and writes about them, and that's exactly what he intends to do. At the foot of the wall, they discover a brick that suggests a gold leaf as part of the lead. As they brainstorm on how to make use of the golden leaf, Eva suggests that the painting on the wall could be a map of Malta. Eva's postulation seems to be driving in the right direction, but Austin wants to be sure, so he keeps asking questions. The two main points Eva suggests are the ancient apiary and a tower somewhere out of Port Grace. Austin is keen to start from the apiary and infers that Eva goes with him, but she counters it. Her deal was to supervise Austin while he stared at the wall. Austin explains the need to have a local by his side in a quest like this. He promises to work around her schedule so her work isn't affected by his. Austin warns her that the search might be futile, but there's always a fun part to it. They agree to meet the next day to begin their quest. After they agree to meet, Austin mentions it's a date, but quickly clarifies what he means. They shake hands and depart. Now at home, Eva meets Chloe, who's busy on her laptop helping out. Eva would rather she's relaxing, but Chloe really wants to help at the apiary. They agree that the honeymoon tour went well, and Eva apologizes for being hesitant in the first place. Chloe lists all the things Eva should be doing soon, including accepting the invitation to speak at a conference. She informs Chloe of her meeting with Austin later in the day. Chloe advises her to go on and have some fun, emphasizing that Austin is cute. While Eva prepares to drive out, Matthew shows up. She wants to have a brainstorming session with Eva. Chloe comes out to hand Eva's phone to her, and Eva passes the brainstorming opportunity to Chloe, who jumps on it. Chloe begins to state ideas, and Matthew is impressed, so he follows her inside. Eva goes to a park and meets Austin playing a board game with Paulu. After they exchange pleasantries and Austin makes a mess speaking Maltese, they drive off as planned. As they journey to the Golden House, Austin notices an abnormal sound from under the car. Eva argues that it's fine, but Austin knows it's the sound of a fault. When Austin inquires about the last time Eva serviced the car, she has no answer. Austin advises the vehicle will be serviced soon. Austin takes his time to educate her a little on proper car maintenance and makes Eva promise that she'll do better. They arrive at the Golden House, and Austin can't help but marvel at the ancient relic. He pours encomium on the place like a helpless romantic, and Eva is impressed he can be romantic. History is romantic. The Golden House is an ancient place for bees. They put on their flashlights and begin walking inside. Austin thinks there's a specific reason the place was built for bees in that exact spot. Eva says it was built to face the south for maximum sunlight. They gather more knowledge about the place and then leave. Back at the apiary, Eva sees Chloe laughing in Matthew's company. The brainstorming session between Chloe and Matthew has obviously gone well. Eva mentions that Austin is following a map, and this interests Matthew, who wants Eva to keep him posted. The next day, Austin rides his bicycle to the apiary. He's set for the day's trip to the tower. Eva has work to do before they set out, and she asks Austin to join her before they set out. Austin follows Eva to the apiary and is surprised at how Eva talks to the bees. Before Eva puts them away, she asks Austin if he's interested in talking to them, but Austin sharply declines. They make their first stop where Eva has some work to do. Michael phones Austin and reminds him to hurry with whatever he's doing, so his funding application can be sent in. It's a honey tasting session, and Ava is keen to change Austin's mind about honey. She takes her time to say the nicest things about honey and bees. Ava gives him honey as old as herself, and when he tastes it, he's wowed. He's probably been tasting adulterated honey all his life. He confesses how much he feels cheated, having not tasted better honey before now. Guests are arriving and Eva tries to take off her apron, but it's twisted at the back. Austin goes over to help her, and this puts them in a position that places their faces very close to each other's. There's a moment of proximity epiphany between them. Austin uses a metaphor to say he has it covered for her, mixing it with bilingua. On their way, the car breaks down due to overheating. It's obvious Eva hasn't serviced the car. They walk the remaining part of the journey, as Austin reveals a little more about himself. They meet Abraham, Ava's friend, who points them in the direction of the tower and calls his nephew, who's a mechanic, to help fix Eva's truck. Abraham lives close to the tower. They get to the top and begin searching and speculating, with Austin using his knowledge of history properly. Eva makes a wrong step and trips, but she doesn't fall to the ground because Austin catches her. There's another proximity epiphany between them when Eva quickly suggests they go back to the truck. They meet James the mechanic, and he tells them he needs to tow the truck back to his workshop before it can be fixed. It seems that they'll be stuck there for a while. James informs them that the only bus that plies that area comes in the morning. It's now obvious they'll spend the night there. Abraham and his wife treat Eva, Austin, and James to a fine dinner by the riverside. Austin enjoys the meal a lot. Abraham now wants to know why they're visiting the Gold Tower. Eva elucidates that they were tracing a map. Abraham reveals the tower was a place where pirates stole gold back in the day. The knights who named the tower took a share of those goods. Later that night, Austin and Eva are amazed by Abraham's revelation about the Gold Tower. They notice Abraham and the wife watching them, so they smile politely and decide to leave their watchful eyes. Austin holds Eva's hand, and they take a walk while discussing their quest. They get a place, and Austin stops to thank her for everything, including not maintaining her car, as it gives him the perfect opportunity to let his feelings out. He holds Eva softly by the neck and kisses her lips, the perfect end to the evening. The next morning, Michael calls Austin to tell him to speed things up. Eva finally gets through to Chloe, and she gushes that Austin kissed her. Chloe is excited. Eva is also excited that Chloe spent the evening with Matthew. When Eva meets Austin, she lets on that the car is ready and they can head back. Austin needs to pick an infrared machine from another part of town. Eva is excited to ferry him there, and they leave. While waiting to pick up the infrared machine, Austin mentions how he was married for a short while. His ex-wife left him almost immediately after the wedding. They find a place to sit, and Austin wants to know about Eva's relationships. Eva was married for about 10 years before getting a divorce. As they pick the infrared machine, Austin mentions that he's still expecting the batteries for it the next day. Eva reminds him that the town's festival is the next day, and that might delay everything. Austin wouldn't want any delays, as he needs to send in a proposal as early as possible. Just immediately, Chloe calls and tells Eva that Paulu was helping her out with setting the booth but fell. He's at the hospital. They find Paulu and meet him with Luna. He promises it's just a sprain and he'll be fine. Luna tells Eva that Chloe is very upset with her. Austin decides to leave while Eva goes to find Chloe. As they bid goodbye, Austin raises his hands to hug Eva, but Eva moves to shake his. There's confusion as to what they should do. Austin doesn't want the awkwardness, so he just taps Eva's shoulders and leaves. Eva finds Chloe at a spot where her mom usually takes them to. Chloe confesses that she actually turned down the promotion at work so she could have time to help Eva at the apiary. Eva understands her stance. Chloe also confesses that she and Matthew are becoming closer, and Eva is happy for her. At the festival, Eva is at her booth when Matthew comes in. They talk about Chloe's workaholic attribute. Matthew asks Eva how far she and Austin have come, and Eva discloses their progress. Matthew quickly goes to call the Malta Heritage. He thinks this will help prioritize Port Grace. Austin comes in to help Eva. He greets the customers using a phrase in Maltese he doesn't always get right. The customers laugh, and when they leave, he tells Eva he's saying it purposely, just to put a smile on their faces. As the festival's fun continues, Eva and Austin watch from the booth. When Eva asks about his research, Austin mentions that the infrared machine has arrived, but he's stalling till after the festival. Eva is more interested in that than staying in the booth. She pulls Austin, and they run to the library. They arrive at the library, and Austin uses the infrared machine. They notice 3 female beings in the painting. Eva explains they're the bee maiden. She says these maidens were worshipped and it's the reason Malta has unique honeybees. As they talk, people from the Heritage Malta enter the scene. They inform Austin that the place is now a protected area, under the government's supervision. This surprises Austin and Eva, who explain that Matthew had given them permission to study the painting. Austin is tired. Eva pulls him to a corner and encourages him not to give up. He thinks there's no way ahead as his deadline is the next day. He infers that everything was a waste of time. This doesn't sit well with Eva, who shakes his hand, wishes him well, and leaves him for good. At the moment, their meeting has no usefulness. Eva goes back to the festival and meets Matthew and Chloe. They tell her she'll be judging the honey contest. Matthew explains that she's best suited as a judge, as she runs the best apiary around. Eva says Chloe has a better knowledge of that. This surprises Chloe, but Eva pulls her to a corner and explains it better to her. Eva believes Chloe has a great vision for the apiary, and she shouldn't have to stick with exactly how their mom did things. Eva decides to take things to the next level and names Chloe as co-owner of the apiary on the spot. She sees both of them working perfectly. Chloe accepts happily. Her first job is to judge the honey contestants. Matthew calls on the judge. He can't hide how important Chloe is to him. The couple hold hands as they walk down. Eva goes over to Pavlu and Luna. She tells them that Austin might be on his way home based on what happened earlier. Pavlu shares an insight with Eva that suggests there's an old honey road. As Pavlu explains this, Eva deduces that this might help Austin's search. She excuses herself and hurriedly goes to meet Austin. Eva finds Austin and tells him what she's just discovered. She connects all her findings to Austin. She takes honey to the harvest field, where she thinks they should start making their discovery. He apologizes to Eva about the earlier incident, and she accepts. They notice a bee entering one of the rocks and take it as a lead. They set out to enter the caves, but Eva is scared of caves. Also, she doesn't do well around snakes. Inside the cave, they see many pointers to aid their search. They notice a jar on the ground, and when Eva tastes it, she finds out it's delicious honey. Austin finds a box, and he realizes the box is the same model on the French priest's diary. They open it and find out that the never-ending prosperity that the diary talks about simply has to do with bees. Maltese bees will bring never-ending prosperity. This excites them as they've now deciphered what the French priest wrote down in the diary. As they step out excitedly, Eva teases that they find actual gold as Austin expected. Austin agrees that everything he has encountered in Malta hasn't been as expected. Austin is glad that the research brought him to Malta and availed him the chance to meet Eva. Eva reminds him that he has to return back to Michigan. He concurs, but leaves room for fate to change their plans. Eva plants a kiss on Austin's cheeks and leaves. 1 month later, Eva is chatting with Chloe, and Chloe tells Eva that she has been confirmed as a speaker in London. Chloe shows Eva the new honey jars and she absolutely loves them. Chloe tells her that there's a guest at the hive talking to the bees. Eva goes there and meets Austin. Austin lets on that his proposal was accepted, and he got the research funding. Eva feels he didn't have to fly down, as he could have just texted. Austin states he was given a condition to be on site when the project begins, hence his flying down to tell her in person. Austin also updates he's on sabbatical, so he has enough time on his hands. The future might hold something lovely for them. They use bee terminologies to converse on how much they want to be with each other, then they share a passionate kiss just beside the hive with the bees probably watching.